By imperial decree, we are here to seize your assets. Lin Yan, chief of the Sihai Pavilion, has hoarded goods for speculation and disrupted the imperial court. His status is hereby stripped. All his family assets are confiscated, and he is exiled to the Tsanyan wasteland.
Chief Lin. So what if your Sihai Pavilion is rich enough to rival the nation? Starting today, all the shops, land deeds, and warehouses under your name will all belong to my crown prince's manor.
Your Highness went to great lengths to fabricate these charges just to fill your deficit of 30 million taels in your private treasury. This fortune of hundreds of billions, this commoner will give it to you. I'm just afraid you won't be able to handle it.
Insolent. How dare you talk back when death is at your doorstep? Tomorrow morning, I want to see you with my own eyes, like a stray dog, scrambling out of the capital. As for tonight, I will throw a grand victory feast right here in your Sihai Pavilion.
Then this commoner won't disturb your Highness while you count the assets.
Ha! Look at that. This is the chief of the world's #1 merchant guild, scramming with his tail between his legs. From now on, this Sihai Pavilion belongs to the Zhao family. Guards, pass my order. We celebrate all night tonight. Bring out all the aged new or Hong wine stored here. Ha ha.
It's cleaner than if a rat had licked it. Since the Crown Prince loves money so much, why don't I help him clean out his own house too? The guards at the Crown Prince's private treasury are indeed tight. Since I'm leaving anyway, I might as well take your entire fortune with me. Just consider it a donation from your Highness as startup capital for me to develop the wasteland. Not bad. This is the secret ledger the Crown Prince used to record his cronyism and bribery. This thing will be a lethal weapon to take him down in the future.
Everyone, behold the half of the great Zhou's territory I have secured for us. Taken from the people. Lin Yan.
Don't think you're still some grandmaster. Now that you're in my hands, even a dragon must coil, and even a tiger must crouch. This 3,000-mile exile road, you will have a lot to suffer.
Along this road, I don't want to wear shackles. I don't want to see any coarse food. And I don't want to stay in drafty, ruined temples. If you do this job well, once we reach the Tsangyan wasteland, there will be 10 times the reward money.
What are you still standing there for? Grandmaster Lin. No, no, no. Ancestor Lin. Please rest assured, along this road the brothers will definitely serve you comfortably.
Exile? No. This is my pioneering tour to my fiefdom. Sangyan Wasteland. The most remote and barren ancient cold land of the Great Zhou. A living hell in everyone's mind. But in my eyes, the sky is high and the emperor is far away there. It is a land unbound by any corrupt rules, a land of no master. This Great Zhou, rotten to the core. I will serve it no longer. I will, on that wasteland, using my enemy's money, build a city that belongs only to me.
Grandmaster, ahead is the threat of Sky Canyon. The terrain is perilous, with steep cliffs flanking both sides, making it suitable for an ambush. Should I have the brothers go scout the way first?
No need to scout. They are already tired of waiting.
Enemy attack! Form a barrier to protect the employer. Chief, you must have been frightened. There were 42 assassins in total, all wiped out, none left alive.
These assassins moved with great discipline. They couldn't be ordinary mountain bandits. These dozens of elite warriors are probably the last bit of foundation he could scrape together at the moment. Thank you for your hard work, brothers. This job is indeed a bit tricky. An extra 200 taels of hazard pay for everyone. Lieutenant, draw the money from my account and pay them immediately.
The chief is truly generous. Our lives belong to you, Chief.
This is only the first return gift. Since you want to play, then I will play along with you to the end. I just wonder how much longer you can hold out. Those three people, what are their backgrounds?
Chief, those few are all unyielding figures in the Great Zhou court who were framed by the Crown Prince's faction. That elderly man is Lu Mingyuan, the former vice minister of the Ministry of Works, because he refused to use inferior timber for building the imperial mausoleum. The Crown Prince framed him for embezzlement. The one holding the medicine chest is the former imperial physician general Sun Sibo. He refused to assist the imperial concubines in using toxic herbs to compete for favor, so he was demoted and exiled. That young man playing with the soil is Zhou He, a genius from the Department of Agriculture. He bred drought-resistant seeds, but his superior took the credit and falsely accused him of hoarding quality seeds, banishing him to the border.
The Great Zhou is truly rotten to an astonishing degree. They cast out the most advanced architect, medical master, and agricultural genius like trash, swept them out the door like garbage. But in my eyes, these people are the very foundation for me to build a new empire in the Sangyan wasteland. Go, borrow the station's kitchen, slaughter 2 sheep, cook the finest white rice, and brew a few pots of thick ginger soup. Bring it over to them.
One should not accept rewards without merit. Young lady, what is the meaning of this?
My name is Lin Yanyan, former chief of the Sihai Pavilion. My current status is just like yours, an exile banished to the Sangyan wasteland.
The Sihai Pavilion's reputation for wealth rivaling nations. Who hasn't heard of it? However, has Boss Lin ever considered that this is the Great Zhou? where the status of merchants is not much higher than that of convicts.
You are all people of great talent and unyielding integrity. Yet, through the ups and downs of life, you have suffered endless hardships. This meal is my way, Lin Yan, of honoring your integrity.
Integrity. In today's imperial court, integrity is not worth a single penny. I am but a dying old man. Boss Lin's food is something I cannot afford to eat.
What if I can make your blueprints become reality?
What did you say?
The Great Zhou cannot bind you or me. The Tsangyan wasteland is remote, with no one in charge and no one to control us. The imperial court does not want you, but I do. As long as you are willing. In this wasteland, I will provide the funds to build a settlement. On this wasteland, I will take care of the materials. Imperial physician's son, you can establish an independent medical bureau. That doesn't have to cater to the powerful, but exists solely to save lives. And you? The vast black soil here is more than enough for you to grow the highest yielding crops in the world. You won't have to worry about anyone stealing your credit. Since the Great Zhou cannot accommodate your talents, why don't we build a sanctuary of our own? No coercion. No talk of loyalty. This is simply a mutually beneficial transaction. Do you dare to do it?
My life is now sold to you, Boss Lin.
A secret meeting that would later be recorded in history books as the founding cornerstone of Tsangyan. Thus reached an agreement in a shabby inn. Began with a simple meal. And ended in a pact.
The chief of the Sea Pavilion. This fat sheep in distress. Clarification: this wealthy target in distress has finally fallen into my hands. Is that the caravan of Chief Lin of the Sea Pavilion ahead? I am the governor of Yanmen Pass. I have long looked forward to meeting you. It is my duty that any caravan leaving the pass must be strictly inspected and pay the transit tax. I see that in your caravan, Boss Lin, there seem to be quite a few contraband luxury goods.
Plucking feathers from a passing wild goose. His nickname of being a greedy toll collector certainly does him no injustice. You are quite right, Governor Wang. Rules cannot be broken. However, my caravan is quite large. An inspection would probably be time-consuming and laborious. How about this? I will voluntarily stay within Yanmen Pass for 3 days to sell off some of the surplus goods on the spot. Before leaving the pass. What do you think?
Boss Lin is indeed a straightforward man. I will accommodate you for 3 days. Ha ha ha.
He thinks what he agreed to was my stay. In fact, what he agreed to was the countdown to his bankruptcy. In the Great Zhou, salt and iron are state monopolies, and their refining technology is extremely poor. What circulates on the market is full of bitter taste and impurities, and the salt industry in Yanmen Pass is secretly monopolized by Governor Wang. The price is extremely high, and the people suffer unspeakably. But what I brought out from my space is premium snowflake salt. What's more, the price is only half of the official salt.
Give me 10 pounds. This salt has no bitter taste. This salt is not like the coarse salt we usually eat. This salt can be eaten directly mixed with rice. 20 pounds. I want 20 pounds. Oh. Anyone who uses local bank exchange notes or silver to exchange for snowflake salt will get another 20% off.
Quick!
Quickly take the land deeds and all the cash in the warehouse to Governor Wang's bank and exchange them all for silver bills.
Quickly exchange them any later and all the silver will be withdrawn. Open the door. I'm here to withdraw silver.
All the cash is gone. The capital chain is completely broken. Now we can't even pay the garrison's wages. Ancestress Lin, I beg of you, please close your shop. I don't want the tax silver of Yangmen Pass anymore. I will even give you 10,000 taels for travel expenses. I beg you to leave the pass quickly.
You are too polite, Governor Wang. Since the tax silver is weighed, then this humble citizen will not disturb you further. Songyan Wasteland. Here I come.
Something is wrong up ahead. Halt! Defensive formation.
This general is a legend of the Great Zhou, but also a tragedy. Born a commoner, he fought his way up to general of pacification. He is upright and unyielding, refusing to bribe corrupt officials, and even less willing to collude with the crown prince. As a result, he was suppressed by the civil officials and exiled to this bitter cold border to eat dust.
This is a military zone. 30 miles further ahead is the exile camp. Walk there yourselves. And do not cause trouble.
General, this is bad. This is bad. While you were patrolling the border, Deputy General Lu Wu incited a mutiny in the main camp. He claims the imperial court has abandoned us and wants to take the brothers to raid the nearby trade routes and exile camp.
Nonsense. All troops, fall in. Return to camp with me.
It's too late, General Xia.
Brothers, since the court won't give us a way to leave, we will find our own way. Ahead is the exile convoy of the chief of the world's greatest merchant guild. There is definitely food in those carriages and gold. Rob them.
Stand down.
General, how long will you remain blindly loyal? The brothers have already been drinking grassroot and tree bark soup for half a month. Yesterday, Li Senzi starved to death right at his guard post. Are you going to watch these 50,000 brothers all turn into starved corpses on this wasteland? Brothers, don't listen to him. Charge and take the food.
General Xia, hold on a moment. You want food? How much can you get by looting? Will it last you a day or two? And what happens when it's gone? Will you carry the brand of criminals, be wiped out by the Imperial Army, and end up implicating your families?
Cut the nonsense. You're just an exiled criminal woman who can't even save herself. How dare you lecture us? This isn't coarse grain, this is fine white rice.
The court cut off your rations and left you to guard the border on empty stomachs. But I, Lin Yan, owe you nothing. These few carts are merely a token of our first meeting. If you stay trapped here, you will have nothing but the cold wind to eat while taking the blame. But if you follow me, Lin Yan, I guarantee you will eat fine grain every day and have meat with every meal. You will also be able to stand tall as soldiers.
If we can eat our fill.
What does it matter whom we fight for?
She's bewitching the crowd with her lies. That's fake. She's lying to you. Kill her. And this food will be ours.
Guards, bind this spy who incites mutiny and harbors treacherous intent, to be dealt with under military law. Grain of such high quality cannot even be found in the Great Zhou treasury. You are a merchant whose assets were seized. How did you transport it to this wasteland?
General Xia. The Sihai Pavilion could hold the top position among the world's merchant guilds. Not because of charity from the imperial treasury, but because of my foresight. The principle of not putting all your eggs in one basket is something I understood when I was 8 years old. The court could seize the account books I kept in the open, but they could never find the networks I have laid in the shadows over the years. These few carts are just a very small portion of my inventory stored at the border of the wasteland. As long as you nod your head, General, the remaining grain will be enough for your army of 50,000 to feast on for 3 years.
What do you want?
First, absolute military protection. I want, on this land of no man, to build a city. Your army must become the guards of this city. Second, an alliance of equals. I am not your vassal, and you are not my subordinate. We are equal partners. I provide the money, food, and supplies, and you provide the military force and manpower. Once the city is built, internal affairs will be mine, and military power will be yours.
Build a city. On this barren Sanyan wasteland.
General Xia, you must have seen those few people in my caravan today. Lu Mingyuan, the former vice minister of the Ministry of Works, and Sun Sibo, the head of the Imperial Academy of Medicine, and the agricultural genius from the Ministry of Agriculture. Do you think this place is barren because the land itself is bad, or because the imperial court never gave you a chance?
Very well. I, Xie Jingchen, on behalf of the 50,000 soldiers of the Zanyan border army, accept your alliance. From this day forward, wherever my blade points, I will clear all obstacles for my ally. Should I break this oath, may heaven and earth destroy me.
Deal. Lord Liu. The restoration and expansion blueprints for this ancient city. I need to see them within 3 days.
Rest assured, Chief. With your funds and materials, this old man will risk his very life to build the strongest city in the entire world.
Dr. Sun, I will subsequently allocate top-grade golden sore ointment, blood-stanching powder, and cold medicine to you. The army camp is full of wounded soldiers. They are all relying on you. I want you to take the lead in establishing an independent medical academy. No matter how many medicinal ingredients it consumes, we must save the soldiers' lives. At the same time, select some bright young people to open a medical school.
A healer has a parental heart. Chief Lin's move is of boundless merit.
Zhou He. I will have General Xia allocate 500 of the strongest soldiers to you to survey the soil outside the city. Before winter comes, I want to see the first experimental fields for cold-resistant crops. As for the seeds, I will provide you with the very best.
Chief. Even if I, Cho-hee, have to water them with my own blood, I will grow food for you.
Chief, a carrier pigeon message from the Tsangsing Chamber of Commerce. The three major merchant alliances of the western regions, Golden Camel, Silver Sand, and Iron Horse, have already set out. They are expected to arrive this afternoon.
With Songyan City being such a big piece of fat meat, how could it not attract attention? I just didn't expect them to come so quickly. That's fine too. It saves me the trouble of looking for them. The three major chambers of commerce monopolize all the timber, stone, and slave labor markets from the western regions to Tsangyan. All the materials we need for construction must pass through their trade routes. They are waiting for my reaction. Blocking the river is a test, to see how tough the new city lord's backbone is.
Chief, they are simply dreaming. The first clause demands a monopoly on all supply routes and material supplies for Tsangyan City for the next 10 years. Trade routes and all material supplies. The second clause, the prices of stone and timber must be 3 times higher than the market rate. And this is the most ridiculous one. They demand that we hand over the exclusive formulas for our premium snowflake salt and flawless glazed glass. They also said if we don't agree, they will jointly blockade all trade routes, ensuring we can't even import a single stone.
In my defense zone, it's not up to a few merchants to run wild. I will take 3,000 iron cavalry right now, flatten their camps, and clear the trade routes.
Jingchen. Sit down. War costs lives. Besides, if we take them out, the trade routes of the western regions will fall into complete chaos. If no caravans come by then, where will we get the materials to build the city? To deal with merchants, don't use swords. Use what they care about most and fear the most. I will use a modern financial war to teach the people of this era a good lesson.
Oh. Boss Lin is here. The wind and sand of the wasteland are harsh. How is your consideration going? Hand over the formulas early and we can all make money in harmony.
The terms you three bosses offered, I have reviewed them. It's impossible to hand over the formulas. Those are the foundation of Seahai Pavilion's survival. However, I can give you three a chance to make big money. An opportunity 10 times more profitable than getting the formulas. Let's sign a betting agreement. Or rather, a futures contract. Don't you want to raise the price of building materials? Fine. All the timber and stone in your hands. I will buy them all at a 20% premium over the market price. But I don't have enough silver on hand right now. This payment for the goods, we will settle it in 1 month. As collateral, I will place these 10 crates of premium colored glass and 100 carts of snowflake salt in your hands first. 1 month from now, if I cannot produce the silver with the 20% premium, these priceless goods, along with all future exclusive trading rights of Tsangyan City, will all belong to you free of charge.
If she defaults, we can swallow up these rare treasures and trading rights for nothing. Even if Lin Yen really scrapes together enough money, we still make a net profit of 20%. Either way, it's a guaranteed win with no way to lose. Ha ha ha. Boss Lin is indeed a heroine among women. How delightful. This contract. We'll sign it.
Chief, you are being foolish. A 20% premium, that is an astronomical sum. Where are we going to get that much silver and putting up so many premium goods as collateral to them? This is as good as delivering meat into the wolves' mouths.
Wolves? At most, they can only be considered a pack of foolish pigs who don't know life from death. Immediately send word to all secret agents of the Zhongxing Chamber of Commerce within the Great Zhou territory. Initiate the highest level commercial warfare directive. Product dumping.
Premium snowflake salt, priced at only 1/10 of what the 3 major chambers of commerce sell it for.
The 1-month deadline is approaching, yet there is no movement at all in the city. It seems this collateral and control are already in our pockets. It's collapsed. It has completely collapsed. Where on earth did all that colored glass and snowflake salt outside come from? To secure those treasures and trading rights, we staked our entire fortune. Now, these so-called treasures in the western regions won't even sell for the price of a chamber pot. We've been trapped.
We're completely ruined this time. Whether it's the dirt-cheap treasures or the materials with a 20% markup, none of it is enough to pay off the high-interest loans from the underground banks. They are ruthless devils who live by the sword.
Boss Lin.
Time is up. I have inspected the building materials. The quality is good. According to the contract, this is the cash I am supposed to pay.
This silver isn't even enough for half the interest owed to the underground banks.
According to the betting agreement, since I have paid for the goods in full, the mortgaged glass and salt, I will be taking them back.
Grandfather Lin, living Bodhisattva Lin, we admit defeat. We admit defeat. We shouldn't have been so greedy. Please show us mercy and spare our lives. The people from the underground banks will skin us alive.
Give you a way out? I can do that. The 3 major chambers of commerce must declare bankruptcy, and all their carriages, horses, and camel caravans, as well as their material mines and vast labor force, must be transferred to Zhongyan City free of charge. Furthermore, the 3 of you will be demoted to low-level stewards of Zhongyan City, serving on this wasteland for the rest of your lives. Sign it. I will pay off all your debts to the Western region's underground banks. This is your only way out. This is the terror of a dimensional strike. Without deploying a single soldier and without using any underhanded, humiliating tactics. From that day on, the construction of Zhongyan City took off with soaring wings. Materials were continuously transported into the wasteland. The towering city walls did not use rammed earth. Instead, they utilized the modern cement formula I provided, mixed with mortar. It was poured into an indestructible bastion shape, and inside the city walls, blast furnaces rose from the ground one after another. The roar of iron and steel echoed across this once silent wasteland. Imperial Physician Sun's independent medical clinic was also completed. From my space, I allocated a large amount of rubbing alcohol, antibiotics, and surgical instruments. Even those exiled convicts, who were once numb and hopeless, under the new laws I enacted of distribution according to work, and more pay for more work, burst forth with incredible drive. Zhongyan City was like an ancient giant beast, frantically absorbing nutrients and rapidly expanding.
Zhongyan City. Lin Yan. Those formulas. The fine steel that cuts through iron like butter. The miraculous gray glue that is as hard as stone. Why? Why does he hold all of this in his hands? And that's Xie Jingqian. The 50,000 border troops in his hands are no joke. We cannot move against them openly. Then we will play dirty. Send a delegation to reward the army under the royal banner. Eunuch Wei will lead the team, and bring along those guys from the Ministry of Works who handle iron smelting. Express condolences to the border guards, and along the way, learn their secret formulas and bring them back.
Oh my, this wind and sand is so fierce. It must be truly hard on our General Xie. The crown prince is merciful, and specially ordered this servant to bring 100 liters of brown rice and 50 bolts of coarse cloth to reward our border soldiers.
This tiny amount of goods, in front of the mountain of grain currently piled up in Sunyan City's granaries, is not even a drop in the bucket. The crown prince thinks he can use these scraps meant for beggars to spy on the true strength of Sunyan City. It is simply laughable. Eunuch Wei, you have had a long and tiring journey. Someone, come, take the gentlemen of the delegation to the guest rooms to rest. Although Sunyan City is remote, we will never mistreat distinguished guests from afar.
What chief of the Sea Pavilion? On the territory of the Great Zhou, he still has to obediently obey our crown prince.
Chief, those rats from the Ministry of Works have, over the past few days, been secretly bribing our peripheral laborers to ask about the blast furnace temperature and the mortar ratio.
Should I have the guards arrest them on charges of spying on military intelligence and deal with them directly under military law?
Why arrest them? They traveled thousands of miles to learn technology as the hosts. How could we spoil the crown prince's high spirits? Elder Liu, I recall that the iron smelting method of the Ministry of Works at its maximum temperature can only reach the level of producing wrought iron, correct?
The iron smelting method of the Great Zhou is incomplete. The furnace temperature is insufficient, and they do not understand the ratio of annealing and carbon addition. The iron they smelt is brittle and not strong. It cannot be compared with our Tsanyin fine steel at all.
Then, what if we give them a highly realistic and detailed blueprint, but one where we have tampered with the most critical furnace pressure control and cooling times were tampered with?
Does the chief mean to blow up the furnace?
Not only must it blow up, but it must also blow up spectacularly, blowing up until the crown prince is completely bankrupt. Elder Liu, please take this formula. Using the Ministry of Works' most familiar code and drafting style to make a fresh copy, it must be flawless. Even if the Minister of Works looks at it himself, he will absolutely find no fault with it. He will only think it is a peerless secret manual.
I understand. This grand gift, I will make sure it is crafted flawlessly.
The fish has taken the bait.
Prepare the horses. Tomorrow morning, immediately set off back to the capital.
Safe travels, Your Highness. This is the death warrant I have meticulously prepared for you.
Good. Excellent, excellent. With this formula, I can forge the finest steel in the world and build indestructible city walls. What is Linyan? What is Xie Jingqian? They are all nothing but ants beneath my feet.
Your Highness. Your Highness is blessed with boundless fortune. If this steelmaking method is promoted on a large scale, not only can it equip the 100,000 imperial guards of our Great Zhou, but it can also monopolize the iron trade across the world. That would be an inestimable mountain of gold and silver.
There is no need to report this to Imperial Father. In my personal name, send out the order. Issue invitations to all the influential families and imperial relatives in the capital. Tell them, I want to build the largest ironworks in the history of Great Zhou. Whoever invests will be my primary benefactor once I ascend the throne. His Highness the Crown Prince arrives. Light the fire.
Your Highness, this is genuine, high-quality steel. I told you. This world will belong to me sooner or later.
What is going on?
Your Highness, the furnace pressure is too high. The annealing vent won't open. The temperature won't come down.
No. This is impossible. My ironworks. I have risked everything for this. How? How is it all gone?
Our scouts report that the steel mills in the capital's suburbs suffered a chain of furnace explosions. The crown prince was severely injured, and the minister of works was crushed to death on the spot. The influential families of the capital have collectively filed a petition demanding that the crown prince compensate them for their losses. The old emperor was so enraged that he spat blood in court. The crown prince's position as heir to the throne is already on the verge of collapse.
This is what they call bringing ruin upon oneself. He thought that by getting his hands on my formula he would have me at his mercy, but he didn't understand that some things, without the matching industrial foundation and a sense of reverence for science, will only cause you to burst if you try to force them down. Now he is deeply trapped, burdened with an unpayable, astronomical debt. In terms of connections, he has lost the support of all the influential families. Now he is constrained at every turn, long stuck in a dilemma. Aside from throwing useless tantrums in his palace, there is nothing else he can do. Next, the great Zhou court will surely fall into even worse internal strife. As they fight over the succession to the throne, they will have no time to spare for this wasteland. Jingchen, our phase of lying low and building up our strength ends here. Starting tomorrow, Songyan City will open its gates and lift restrictions on trade beyond our borders. I want to push our trade routes across the entire north.
Chief. General, it worked. It worked.
Excellent, excellent. Master Zhou, you have achieved an extraordinary feat. Once spring arrives, we will promote winter wheat citywide. I want Songyan's granaries to remain full forever. As these few sprouts of green wheat broke through the soil, Songyan City officially sounded the horn of economic counteroffensive against that decaying Great Zhou dynasty. In the third month of spring, the Songyan wasteland welcomed its most magnificent harvest in history. The granaries of Songyan City were so full that the doors could barely close. At the same time, the Great Zhou dynasty officially entered its final countdown. The old emperor was completely bedridden with paralysis. Although the crown prince ruled as regent, he was burdened with astronomical debts and had completely lost control over the military. The Great Zhou entered an era of warlord rivalry and chaotic, meat grinder civil war.
reporting to the city lord, and the general, Zhao Ke, the Marquis of Pingnan, Li Hu, the general who guards the east, and commander son of Yunzhou, have formed an alliance to suppress rebels. They have scraped together an army of 100,000 and are already marching towards Sangyan.
100,000 men. It seems, the fame of Sangyan City is still a bit too great.
Men die for wealth, just as birds die for food. The treasury of Great Zhou is already empty. They know that inside Sangyan City there is countless grain, refined steel, and treasures from the western regions. These 100,000 men are coming purely to plunder.
Should I take the black armored cavalry out and intercept them outside Yanmen Pass?
No. Jingchen. Among these 100,000 men, 99,000 are just ordinary farmers forcibly conscripted by the warlords. They can't even get enough to eat. What they hold in their hands are probably just rusty woodcutters' axes and sharpened bamboo poles to kill them all. What a waste. Let them come. I will use these 100,000 people to set a rule for all the various factions. I want everyone to understand that Sangyan City is an iron fortress they can never cross.
Lin Yan, Xia Jingchen, you have taken it upon yourselves to occupy Sangyan. What is your intention? If you know what's good for you, open the gates and surrender immediately. Hand over all your food and secret formulas, and this marquis might still leave you with intact corpses. Otherwise, an army of 100,000 will trample Sangyan and leave you with no place to be buried.
When dealing with people like this, any verbal argument is a waste of time. Truth only exists within the range of our firepower.
Launch the hot air balloons. Prepare the cannons.
Witchcraft. They know witchcraft.
Do not retreat. Anyone who dares to retreat will be executed without mercy. That is nothing but an illusion.
Fire. This is a warning. The scrap metal in your hands cannot even scratch the walls of Sangyan City. If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't need a single soldier to leave the city. Within half an hour, this wasteland would become your graveyard. I do not kill the poor. You have been starving for a long time. Your commander wears silks and satins while making you drink tree bark soup. And even if you die in battle here, your families won't receive a single grain of relief food. Set up the cooking pots. Now, put down your weapons. As long as you are willing to join Sangyan, I, Lin Yan, guarantee that everyone will get a big bowl of white rice today. And 2 large pieces of braised pork. Not only that, Sangyan City will allocate land to you, issue you new clothes, and let you earn money cleanly and with dignity.
We surrender. We want to eat. Thank you for your great benevolence, City Lord. We won't fight anymore.
You traitors! Stand up! No surrendering!
My lord. We are sorry. The brothers just want to stay alive.
Subduing the enemy's army without fighting. Lin Yen, this battle was beautifully fought.
This is what we call the economic base determines the superstructure. Open the city gates and receive the labor force. Same old rules. Screen them at the vetting camp. Weed out the rogue soldiers and bullies and try them according to Tsangyan law. As for the ordinary, able-bodied young men, incorporate them all into the infrastructure army and the reserves. The warlords of the Great Zhou are already terrified of us. They will definitely not dare to invade again anytime soon. Militarily, we are already invincible. But that is still not enough. Although the Great Zhou imperial court exists only in name, as long as they continue to issue that worthless paper currency and extort the people's hard-earned wealth, the people of the world will never find peace. The Tsangyan coin. This is a true hard currency I issue, backed by Tsangyan City's current massive gold reserves and grain reserves, a truly hard currency that was issued. Behind every single Tsangyan banknote, there is actual gold and grain. As standard backing. Anyone holding Tsangyan currency can, at any time, go to the banks of the Tsangxing Chamber of Commerce and exchange it for an equivalent value of silver or grain. This is worlds apart from the Great Zhou Imperial Court's worthless paper notes, which they print recklessly just to fill their deficits, causing severe inflation. There is a world of difference between them. Starting tomorrow, the Tsangxing Chamber of Commerce will fully promote Tsangyan currency throughout the entire territory of the Great Zhou. In all the underground black markets, grain shops, and salt shops of Great Zhou announce that only silver and Tsangyan currency will be accepted for transactions and refuse to accept the paper notes of the Great Zhou court. At the same time, spread the word that as long as you hold Tsangyan currency, you can come to Tsangyan City to buy high-quality steel farming tools, spices from the western regions, and the cheapest fine salt. This is a bloodless execution. When a highly credible currency that can be exchanged for survival resources appears, the constantly depreciating paper notes held by the people and merchants of Great Zhou will turn into waste paper. The law of bad money driving out good is built upon raw power. But when that power collapses, good money will completely destroy the market for bad money. I want the economic system of Great Zhou within 3 months to grind to a complete halt.
Understood.
Article 1 of the Tsangyan marriage law. Husband and wife are equal in status, sharing the storms and sharing the glory for a lifetime, never to part.
Lin Yi. My sword, my life. Along with this city. From this day forward. All belong only to you.
Xie Jingchen. Pleasure doing business with you. Inviting the wolf into the house, selling out the country for personal glory. That useless crown prince of Great Zhou, under the desperate situation of total economic collapse and warlords carving up the territory, in order to preserve his crumbling throne, made a mad decision that crossed all lines of national decency. He dispatched secret envoys carrying heavy gold and land-ceding treaties across the Great Wall to meet with the most brutal nomadic tribe of the north, the Heavenly Wolf tribe, to sign a humiliating secret treaty. The contents of the secret treaty are atrocious. The crown prince promised to hand over the 16 prefectures of Yenyun, this land that serves as the barrier for the Central Plains, which for generations countless soldiers have defended with their blood, and cede this strategic stronghold to the Heavenly Wolf tribe. Not only that, he also promised that once the deed is done, Great Zhou would pay annual tribute and declare vassalage to the Heavenly Wolf tribe. And the condition he bargained for was for the Heavenly Wolf tribe to deploy 200,000 elite iron cavalry to enter the pass and suppress the rebel armies for him and completely flatten Tsangyan City.
Once the 16 prefectures of Yanyan fall, the heartland of the Central Plains will have no defenses left. The heavenly wolf tribe is brutal by nature. Wherever they pass is like a swarm of locusts, leaving no survivors. This crown prince wants to drag all the people of the world to be buried with him.
He has gone mad. The crown prince is gambling. He knows our Sangyan currency has completely crushed the economy of Great Zhou. He knows the warlords could march into the capital at any moment. He has no cards left to play. So he drew the sharpest, yet most uncontrollable blade, the foreign tribes. But he miscalculated one thing. He thought Sangyan City was just a turtle shell that only knew how to do business and defend. He thought the 200,000 iron cavalry of the Heavenly Wolf tribe was an invincible force that could not be defeated in this era. Jingchen, order the entire army to cancel all leaves, load up all provisions, and bring out our heavy weaponry. Since the Great Zhou Imperial Court no longer wants its own land, then this land, we, Sangyan, shall defend it.
This general obeys your command. We swear to defend the Central Plains and bury the foreign iron cavalry outside the pass.
This is not a civil war for power and profit, but a war to defend our civilization against foreign invaders. It is a battle for our very survival. In this battle, we do not fight for promotions or titles, but only to protect the people behind us from being slaughtered by foreign invaders. Sangyan Army, march!
The Emperor of the Central Plains is such a coward. Without even a fight, he willingly hands this beautiful world over to me. Warriors, once we enter, gold, silver, treasures, women, and food, plunder them for 3 days and 3 nights.
Artillery battalion, set range to 1500 paces, extend the barrage. Fire.
Do not panic. Charge. They have only a few men. Charge and cut them down.
All forces, charge.
Open the gates. Welcome the Sangyan army into the pass.
The Great Zhou imperial family is rotten to the core. For such a court, every extra day it exists is a torment to the people of the world. Jingchen.
Present.
Pass down the order. The army will not rest. We march directly south. We are going to drag that traitorous crown prince. Drag him down from the dragon throne.
Understood.
Welcome Sangyan. Punish the national traitor.
City Lord, the artillery has been calibrated. We can blast open the city gates at any time.
There is no need to use artillery. Inside this city, there are over 1 million innocent citizens. I do not want to use artillery fire to destroy their homes. Elder Liu, have the hot air balloons take flight. Scatter the leaflets we prepared into every single corner of the capital.
Yes, sir. The great Zhou crown prince sold out the country for personal gain. This is intolerable to heaven. The Sangyan army will only punish the chief culprits and will never harm the innocent. Lay down your weapons. Those who open the gates to welcome the army will have their past actions forgiven and will receive money and food. Those who resist to the end will share the same guilt as the national traitor.
To throw your life away for a deposed emperor who sold out his country, is it really worth it?
Lin Yan, you won. If you want to kill me, just do it. But I am the crown prince of Great Zhou, the true son of heaven. You cannot use those lowly methods to humiliate me.
The true son of heaven? The world belongs to the people of the world. There has never been any true son of heaven. You do not understand that water can carry a boat, but also capsize it. Being abandoned by this land was only a matter of time. Guards, take this traitor who sold out our territory and harmed the people, along with all the corrupt officials involved in the case, and hand them over to the Tsangyan Supreme Court. Strip them of all privileges, put them on public trial according to Tsangyan law, and announce it to the entire world.
It's over.
No, Jingzhua. This is only the beginning.
Chief. Now all the world has pledged its allegiance, and the Great Zhou dynasty is no more. A nation cannot go a single day without a ruler. Please, Chief, follow the will of heaven and ascend the throne as emperor. Please ascend the throne, Chief.
Rise, everyone. What era do you think we are in? Are we still playing the game of taking turns to be emperor, thinking it will be my turn next year? Imperial power is a cursed system. It ties the destiny of a nation to the whims and emotions of a single person. If a wise ruler emerges today, there is peace under heaven. But if a tyrant emerges tomorrow, the people will suffer endlessly. We fought all the way here and overthrew the Great Zhou, not to just change a family name and continue exploiting the people. If I take that seat today, then what difference is there between me and that deposed emperor? Melt down this dragon throne, mint it into coins, and put them into the national treasury. The Great Zhou has become history. Starting today, the new regime established on this land shall be named the United City-States of Huaxia. The monarchy is abolished. There will be no emperor. The Tsangyan Code is upgraded to the supreme constitution of the nation. The Senate, the highest authority of the state, will be composed of democratically elected representatives from all provinces. Under the Senate, we will establish the separation of powers among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. And I, Lin Yan, will serve as the first Supreme Consul of the United City-States of Huaxia with a term of 5 years. Xie Jingchen will serve as the Commander-in-Chief of the National Defense Force, completely nationalizing the military to be solely responsible for defending our territory and will never interfere in domestic affairs.
The Archon's mind is so broad and his vision so far-reaching. It is like the sun and moon in the sky. This old man is thoroughly convinced. I am willing to dedicate my life to the Huaxia city-states.
A new era amidst this bloodless political transformation officially began. Zhou He became the first minister of agriculture. He traveled all across the country. The lands once left barren by war and exploitation were revitalized with new life. As the minister of health, Sun Sibo established medical clinics in various regions. He took the basic medical concepts I provided and combined them with traditional Chinese medicine, significantly reducing infant mortality and the outbreak rate of infectious diseases. As for Lu Mingyuan, he completely unleashed his inner infrastructure enthusiast. A network of concrete roads spreading out like a spiderweb connected all the major prefectures.
Reviewing documents until this hour again. Being the Archon, you work even harder than the emperors of the past.
The hard work is only temporary. Once this system is fully mature and operational, I won't run for re-election. I will hand the reins of power to the next generation of elected youth. When that time comes, I'll take you to the western regions to see where our Tsangxing Chamber of Commerce first started.
All right. Wherever you go, I will go. This vast land, I have already secured it like an iron fortress for you.
Jingchen, look. Without an emperor, and without nobles, this world can still function very well. Even better.
Because of you.
No. Because of the rules. For me, Lin Yan, what I am most proud of in this lifetime is not how much money I made, nor how much power I held, but that I personally smashed a cannibalistic old world to pieces and upon its ruins established a new set of rules called equality and the rule of law. Everyone is equal before the law. The world belongs to all its people. My destiny, from the moment I signed and sealed that document, has been held solely in my own hands. From this moment on, I am my own destiny.